Meanwhile, you can all jot your questions. For those of you that have questions, you can jot your questions so that you can ask questions after the presentation, because there is a Q&A session whereby you can ask much questions and we can go back to the presentation and add more context to it. So now, the unpredictable landscape, navigating the constant evolution. What we mean by unpredictable landscape, just like saying we all have a business and different kind of approaches. We have the business and the tech industries, whereby we can see they have a lot of things that are evolving in those areas. So we're going to look at the unpredictable landscape of navigating the constant evolution. Now let's look at this image. What do you think this image depicts? Okay, first of all, we've seen, something like, how do I explain it? It's just like saying, sorry, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So we now say the business and tech industry are characterized by relentless changes. We have the rapid technological advancements, which is now you could all see. Look at the Tesla. Tesla was giving birth out of the advancement in technology, whereby you can just charge your car and then you don't need fuel, you don't need diesel for your car to operate. We all see the shifting market dynamics and consumer demands in the IT industry, meaning that you could see before people do their businesses, using the traditional ways, meaning that you have to go to the shop and you have to purchase that goods and services yourself. But now with the advent of technology, you can be able to make purchase online. You can be able to get everything that you need. We also look at the global economic fluctuations that are also the unforeseen disruption. Example, the pandemic. You could see before, if you want to have a meeting, if you want to do a lot of things, you cannot be able to meet during the pandemic. There's restriction of movements, gathering of people and the rest. But with the advent of technology, we were able to adopt. We were able to, bounce back with the what we make mention of resilience. For us to recover quickly after something that happens to us. So this is a very good example of the pandemic. When it happens, we were resilient. We were adaptable to the environment we found ourselves in, and we were able to make headways. So in this environment, traditional leadership approaches are no longer sufficient. So okay, let's go to the next slide and see. So we now say that adaptable and resilient leadership, the cornerstone of success in uncertainty. So what this slide is talking about is, we now say that the pandemic disrupted our way of doing things. We've seen how advancement in technology supports our daily activities. We've seen a lot of things happening. So now let's look at the adaptable and resilient leadership, which is the cornerstone of success in uncertainty. What we mean by this is like you saying, how can you achieve success in an uncertainty landscape that you find yourself in? Okay, now just look at these three. On a normal sense, we know that these three grow in an environment where it is going to find it very difficult to sustain itself. So assuming that these three, you are the one, right? Assuming that you are these three, you can see that it grows on top of a stone, and that stone have its crack, right? The stone have crack, and the tree is still standing tall on top of the rock, meaning that it is adaptable to the environment it found itself, and also it is resilient to bounce back after a stress or after something that happens unusual to it. So assume that this tree is a person, right? You find yourself in an environment whereby you cannot be able to cope, and then you find a way to cope based on you being resilient to the change you find yourself in. So that's where it explained the adaptability and resilience by our left on our slide. We said the ability to swiftly adjust strategies, approaches, and even fundamental assumptions in response to change. It is a proactive transformation, not just reaction. Also, it's talk about resilience, which is the inner fortitude to bounce back from setbacks, learn from adversity, and maintain momentum despite challenges. It's about strength and agility. So you see, we are still talking about one thing, adaptability and resilience. Then we're not going to add on leadership, but we are coming there. So let's look at our next slide. Why adaptability matters for leaders. That is the power of agility. We talk about agility here. We say that it's about strength and agility. So now let's look at why adaptability matters for leaders, which is the power of agility. Okay? Now, as a leader, there are things that you need to do. You need to make hard decisions. You need to scout for opportunities for your fellow members. If it is in a company, you should strive hard to see how you can make the company move forward. If it is in any kind of situation you find yourself as a leader, how can you foster growth in that environment? Right? So we're going to see that. Right? So now we're going to see that. We now say fostering innovation, strengthening communication, and maintaining team cohesion. So when we say fostering innovation, as a leader, you should always encourage creativity, problem solving, and exploration of new solutions. Meaning that in an environment where you find yourself, we can see the tech giants out there. We could see the unicorn that we have out there, like the Paystack, the floater wave. Those leaders that are championing those companies, they always strive hard to see how they can make, solve problems and encourage creativity in their companies. So as a leader, you need to have the technical know-how on how to foster innovation in your ecosystem or in your company. Also, strengthening communication. As a leader, you need to facilitate clear and transparent communication during times of change, reducing resistance. Sometimes in a company, you find out that communication is a gap. Sometimes it drive almost everything out of the way. When there is proper communication, then it facilitates clear and transparent, growth in that company. So also maintaining team cohesion. As a leader, you need to reduce anxiety and foster unity by clearly articulating vision and direction during turbulent times. Meaning that you need to guide your fellows or your team members. Assuming that you have a dispute, you can go ahead, to motivate your team members on, how to reduce the anxiety, how to foster unity amongst them. I can remember there is one time I was applying for a job with Google, and one of the interview that I was enrolled in, the first thing they asked me was, how can I foster unity if I am given this job? So you have to tell them, you have to explain to them how you can foster unity in your own company or in your own environment with your own members, because they want to test your expertise and see how you can handle conflict and disputes. So let's go to our next slide. The critical role of adaptability. We're going to give examples here. That's why I attach examples so that I'll give real life examples there. I'm just going to jump into the examples. Let's look at the example one. In the business aspect, let's look at Netflix. Don't forget that what do we mention? The critical role of adaptability, like adaptability in action. So we are now going to take one business as a case study to see how they can adapt to the changing of environment. Now look at this. We talk about Netflix. Sorry, we're now going to look at a model, a business model of Netflix. How they were able to adopt in their, how many of you knows that how many of you knows the initial model of Netflix? How do they operate before, being fully online? Who can tell me? I'm going to give gifts. I'm going to give swags for you ever answer my question. Let me just move my slide, Seth, before some of you will. Who can tell me the initial model of Netflix? Who can tell me? Who can tell me the initial model? I hope I'm not the only person talking to myself.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Who can tell me the initial model of Netflix? How do they operate before? Before now that they are, they are adopting to the new action in town.
Oh, I think the original model of Netflix was just to have to be able to stream movies online. It was one of the earliest streaming app, and then they now moved to making movies by themselves.
Okay,
And after that,
okay,
and that time, I think initially, said that time you don't pay for membership during that time
okay,
for Netflix. But after they started making movies, then they shifted it to paying for membership, and then they reduced the membership fee to be accessible to a lot of people, not too expensive for people. And then that time, I think it was just you yourself that can access Netflix, and then they made it like you can subscribe for membership for uh, you can subscribe for family membership and individual membership, something like that.
okay.
I really don't.
That's
I'm not
awesome.
on. I've never subscribed for Netflix, but I think that is only what I know from like reading about Netflix online. But I've never subscribed for that. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. That's very good. Actually, you've actually explained the new model of next Netflix. What I'm saying is, what was the initial model that they were using before going online to be giving people the platform to register, to subscribe, and stream their contents up to the time that they are even, supporting film industry to shoot movie for them, and then they will be putting it on their platform, and people are subscribing, and getting money out of it. They have an initial model before coming to this. What was the initial model that they had before coming back to streaming and
So
doing
is
all
it
this?
DVD rental?
Are you guessing or are you telling me the answer?
Yes, yes. They started with DVD rental by mail, so they will send it to customers.
Okay. All right. Actually, that's their model. That's their model. Thank you very much. Um, that is their model. So let me go back to my slide. So their initial model was DVD by mail service, meaning that when you buy it, when you request for their movies or their services, they deliver it by mail services, meaning that when you want to watch Game of Thrones season one, they have to mail it to you. That season one, they have to mail it to you. You know, and it's so tedious. Imagine them having thousand requests from people. Some people they are not even in the same state with them. They have to, deliver the services. So the services was very tedious. It wasn't the model was not friendly. It was very tedious, and the whole process of doing it was very time consuming, because someone that is staying, let's say, inside Kwara State, inside Kwara local, let me just say Ilorin local government, sorry, that is going to another local government. Imagine the time stamp that's going to waste before they could be able to deliver those contents. So when Netflix come on board, they now, review their model, and then they now say that their initial model is not going to be visible in this 21st century. So they have to adopt to recognizing the shift to online streaming. So that's when they pivoted their entire business model to online, facing the initial resistance, but ultimately dominating the market. Because if you could see now, Netflix have already dominated almost all the streaming platforms. They have the latest movies. They can even give you, as a content creator, they can even give you money to shoot movie for them, and then they can be able to post on their platform, and they will generate revenue while they've already paid you. They have, the copyright of the content that was, on their platform. So now the lesson that we want to see is the bold adaptation based on market trends can lead to unprecedented growth. You see, this bold adaptation that they did, it's actually times 10 of their revenue, meaning that it is more easier, it is more, it has a lot of advantages than the mail initial model that they were using by mail services. So that's the one example I want to give you. That's why we said, now that's where adaptability and resilience come in. They have to adopt to the new oil, just as we are saying that tech is the new oil. So they have to adopt to the new environment that they find themselves in, and the resistance that they were able to do, they have to, changes doesn't happen not just in a blink of eye. You have to be resistant of change. So that's what Netflix do, and they were able to pivot their businesses. So now let's go to the next example, because I love giving examples so that people can understand what we are doing. Now let's look at Slack, but also we are going back. What is the initial product that Slack company actually delved in? Let me hide my slides before Mariam will attempt my own again. Who can tell me the initial product that Slack actually built before they were able to adopt back to the full Slack that we're seeing today? Any contribution? Any contribution? Do we have any contribution, or I can move on?
Yes, sir. Slack. So,
Yes.
sir,
Who can
Slack
tell me
is
the initial product?
Slack was
What was the initial
initially,
product?
yeah, internal communication tool
Okay. Is that your
when it
answer,
was.
or you are guessing?
No, it's my answer this time.
That's very good. It's like Miriam is going to win all the swags that I have today. So Slack is a tech. We now delve from business to tech industry, because Slack is being used by techies initially, and their initial product is an internal communication tool for a gaming company. So their adaptation and how they were able to resolve back to the Slack that we are seeing today is recognizing its potential as a broader communication platform. They don't see the need of, okay, fine, before we are limiting Slack to only our internal communication, and we are seeing results. So how can we monetize it? How can we make it to be broader as a communication platform for other people to pivot and, for their product and marketing? So that's when Slack decided to go public, meaning that um, they recognize their potential, and they now, become an ubiquitous tool for businesses and product marketing. Because on Slack, you can market your products, you can have, a business. It's just like a business tool for your businesses that you can be able to, leverage on. So one lesson that Slack recognized is they recognize the unexpected value, and they adopt the product to a wider market, which can lead to massive success. I'm being time conscious. That's why I'm moving fast, but I'm sure you guys are jotting your questions so that we can come back to them. So let's move fast. Now let's look at overcoming challenges, building resilient leadership. So as a leader, what you're supposed to, focus more on is, and to build resilience. You need to embrace a growth mindset. You have to view challenges as learning opportunities, not insurmountable obstacles. You have to prioritize continuous learning. As a leader, you have to invest in personal and team development to enhance skills and knowledge of your team members. As a leader, you have to build a strong support network, meaning that you need to cultivate relationship with mentors, peers, and advisors for guidance and network. Boot camps and everything that are happening in the community. Every tech community have, tech and all activities like that has to do with tech. So for you to build a strong support network, not even as a leader, but as a techie or as a freelancer, you need to have mentors. You need to have peer groups, advisors, whereby they are going to advise you on things that you are doing. So we need to practice flexible decision making. As a leader, you need to be open to new ideas and willing to adjust course when necessary. Meaning that, assuming that member of your team, bring an idea, and you now look at her as a leader, as a team member, or let me say, as the head of this department, I didn't even think of this idea. Why would this one just bring it? And you undermine his idea, and you think that his idea is not viable. You decided to, go away with it. So as a leader, you need to be open to new ideas and willing to adjust course when necessary. Also, you need to champion effective communication. We talked about communication earlier, and we're still talking about communication now because communication is key. As a leader, you need to maintain transparency and clarity to keep things aligned and motivated. So let's look at the next slide. Adaptability as a cornerstone for leadership success. That's where we're going to look at the sector of the non-negotiable skills in an uncertain world. So the key element of adaptable leaders, what are the key elements of an adaptable leader? Quick decision making, emotional intelligence, innovative problem solving, learning agility, and open communication. You could see in everything as a leader, we keep on emphasizing on open communication. So that you cannot just leave your peer groups or your team members, in the dark, because communication is key. We keep on saying that communication is key. Something we said, the quick decision making, assessing situation rapidly and making informed choices, emotional intelligence, which by understanding and managing emotions, fostering empathy, innovative problem solving, you have to be encouraging creative and unconventional solutions, meaning amongst your peer groups. Also, learning agility, continuously seeking new knowledge and adapting based on insights, and also open communication, whereby you foster the transparency and encourage feedbacks. So let's look at the next slide, which is adaptability in action. That is from the tech industry example. I'm going to give it. Let's look at Microsoft. That's going to be our first example. So some of the challenges that Microsoft have was it was initially slow to embrace the mobile revolution. We all know that. And up to date, Microsoft, we know, okay, how many of us knows what Microsoft is? First of all, before I move on. Habib Garuba, do you have anything to say? Let's look at Microsoft. We all know what Microsoft is, what kind of company is, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we all know what it does.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we all know that Microsoft, they are the owners of Windows.
Yes.
Meaning that the Windows we are using on our computers, in as much as you are not using Mac, then you are using, or Linux, then you are using Microsoft, because they are the ones that build the operating system we are using on our laptops. How many of you can use your operating system on your laptop on your mobile device? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Is that possible for you to use your
No,
Microsoft
sir, no.
Windows on your mobile phone?
Is it possible for us to use our Microsoft on mobile phone? Yes, sir. But
Okay.
our Windows on our Microsoft, no.
Can you mute your mic, Habib? Okay, awesome. So but before, we know that that's one of the challenges that I encounter with Microsoft is, they were initially slow to embrace the mobile revolution, meaning that before they were able to adopt and give the operating system to be runnable on a mobile device, it has to follow due processes, because their model is not just like open source model. It is not that they are making their model to be open source, meaning that we all know that Android is on open source. You can clone, source code of an application or a software, and then you can update or you can do anything you want to do it. But Microsoft, before they adopt to that changes, it has to follow through different processes. And that was why we say one of the challenges that we encounter is they are initially slow to embrace the mobile revolution. Now let's look at the adaptation. We know Satya Nadella's, right? How many of us know Satya Nadella?
No, sir, I don't.
He is the CEO of Microsoft. right? I know some of you will be like, is it not? Okay, how many of you knows the CEO of Microsoft? So the CEO of
Bill Gates.
Microsoft is Satya. Pardon? Someone want to say something?
I said Bill Gates, sir.
Okay, so Satya Narayana American, he is the CEO. What we are now saying is under his leadership, they shifted focus to cloud computing, which is the Azure we all know, which is a cross initiative, regaining significant market relevance. Before Microsoft was not open source, but now that it's open source, it is gaining more market relevance, meaning that they have to adopt the new technology in town. If not, they are going to be out of business. So that's why Microsoft adopts to open source and cross-platform software, meaning that they adopt the new changes under this same Indian CEO that they have. So now, the lesson that we're going to talk about here is recognizing and adopting to major technological shift is a crucial for long-term survival and growth. Had it been Microsoft did not turn to open source, then they would have been out of business because Android have operating system and they are equally, doing good in both the phone, that's mobile, and both PC version, meaning that they'll have more market than Microsoft. So that was why they have to adopt to all these changes. So let's look at our second example, which is Tesla. We talk about Microsoft. It was in business before Tesla, and now we say, let's look at Tesla. What exactly did Tesla do that makes it to be one of the best this thing in the market? So we now say the adaptation that Tesla adopts, or let me say that they embarked on, is continuously innovating in electric vehicle technology, battery technology, and autonomous driving, whereby they are disrupting the traditional automotive industry. Now, how many of you are going for the traditional industry, like the cars that we have now? If you have Tesla, if you have the means of buying Tesla, let me see your hand off. And then you tell me what is your reason for going for traditional vehicles, or why you decided to, patronize Tesla. Please, it is an open floor. If you want to say something, just raise your hand. I will give you the floor to talk. Okay, Mariam, please go ahead.
So for me, I prefer the traditional car to the
Okay.
electronic type because everything is computer. It can always be hacked. Like it can always be
Okay.
hacked. Something can go wrong. Like it's only what it is programmed to be that it will work out. It does not
Okay.
have the ability to think like woman. And when it is hacked or maybe something stop functioning at a point, you're at high risks. Like I remember one time when they said that if you are inside the water, the Tesla door will automatically lock, like you will not
Okay.
be able to open it and something like that. I think is either when you are in water or when you have an accident. So in a situation like that, what are you supposed to do? Like you'll be trapped and you will die. This is the
Exactly.
problem with computer. It does not have human ability to think, like to act in a strange environment. So I prefer the traditional car method.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that contribution. Any other person?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Khadija, please go ahead.
So I also prefer the traditional cars because with advancements in technology now, even the cars that are not electronic, that they still run on fuel or water,
Yeah.
they are doing very well. But anytime I
Okay.
think of Tesla and I remember like, oh, maybe a self-driving car or an electronic car, I remember this movie I watched where the guy's electronic car killed him because the car crashed him. So
Okay.
to put total faith in something like that, and especially in a situation in a country like Nigeria where there's no lights anywhere, if your car battery should die in a remote area, you'll be stranded.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Any other contribution? Any other person who is going to tell us why he picked the traditional vehicle over the electric vehicle? Okay, so actually, all your contributions are correct. So that's why, if you could remember, we talk about adaptability and resilience. So now, if Tesla are coming to Nigeria, let's talk about Nigeria as a case study. Their market might not sell like that of America. Why? Because Tesla, their business model is for the American people, or let me say the countries that have constant electricity. So meaning that Tesla cannot adopt in Nigeria because we don't have stable electricity. If your car battery, maybe let's say you don't have battery, the battery percentage is maybe low, it cannot drive, definitely it may have some constraint. But here we are talking about Tesla in America, because we're looking at the adaptation. Tesla find itself in America. And another thing that you need to consider is Americans doesn't have oil. They are buying oil from oil producers, oil producing countries, right? So how can they build something that they are going to be sustainable on, that is not going to cost them a lot of money? Because you could imagine the amount of money that Americans used to sink in getting a crude oil down to their country from those countries, So they're now finding that it is not going to be feasible for them to be, patronizing all these countries. So they now have to think, which business model are they going to pick so that they can be able to sell and they can be able to create more, lesser stress for their country people. So that was the advent of Tesla. That was why Tesla is now selling more in America than in Nigeria. So now that's where we're talking about the adaptability. It is adoptable in America and other countries, but it cannot be adoptable in Nigeria. But mind you, if now Tesla are going to come to Nigeria, they will not look at what do we have in Nigeria, and then they will adopt to that thing that we have. They can decide to, to say that, okay, fine, since Nigerians have crude oil in excess, we can build their cars that's going to be, that is going to consume fuel, or that's going to consume lesser fuel than the other vehicles that are being produced. So it all boils down to coming to a place and then you adopt to that environment that you find yourself in, whether in business or in anything. Because in business, we all believe that adaptability plays a very crucial role. It is the only thing that you will do, and then you stay in the business, or you're going to crash. Now, a very good example that we're going to, okay, who can give me an example of any business that you know that crashed along maybe let's say like after 2 or 3 years that it's crashed because they could not adapt to the environment? Who can give me an example of a company that do that, or a startup that do that? Do we have any?
Say, startup that does what?
Any startup that you know, or any business that you know that is operating in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, that they refuse to adopt to the latest, what do we call it, to the latest trends, and they decide to, go out of business. Any other person who can tell me? Okay, now let me just make a simple example. Let's say, could we make example of a company? Okay, let's just say like this company, what do we call it? Oh, the name is just, it's just trying to run from my head. Let me see whether I can get the name. Okay, there is one company that I just saw. It is called the Fox Mayer Corporation, which is also an American company. What happened with them? Their model, or let me say, what do they call it? Okay. Their own happens due to poor management, and they experience poor management system, and they refuse to adopt to the new trend that they found themselves with. I'm trying to get the whole what do we call it, the whole story. But then what happened was they were not able to adopt to the latest trend that is currently available. They decided to go with their own models, and that model was not sustainable. They have to go bankrupt. And it's one of the companies that raised almost, that raised almost 35 million ERP projects, meaning that that's a very huge number. But because they refuse to adopt the latest trends, they have gone into bankrupt. So the lesson of Tesla today, we said a culture of constant innovation and willingness to adopt technological advancement can create new market and refine industries. So we've seen the case study of Tesla. Now let's move next. Do we have any other question regarding to this? Do we have question, or we can move forward? Okay, let me make more emphasis on this so that you guys will let me just try and give another example regarding this. Okay, now just look at, let's say let's look at Paystack, right? Let's just look at Paystack. Who can give me one of the things that makes Paystack to be one of the best payments model in Africa? Do we have anything? What exactly do they do that makes them to be like that? So, okay, let me just give you an example now. Why Paystack was one of the best payment platform we have in Nigeria is because that they provide online and offline payment solution to businesses across Africa. So they now understand that there is need for people to make payment offline and online. If you decided to say you're just going online, there are other people in a remote area. How can they make payments? That market, you're not going to tap that market from those people. So that's one of the things that make Paystack to be one of the best. And equally, I'm not doing PR for Paystack. I'm not doing PR for them. I'm just trying to make example on the Nigerian companies that we have and how they are making with. So let's go to the next. Okay, I think we've come to the end of my presentation. We said leading the way forward. How can we lead the way forward? Because we are the leaders of tomorrow. Our parents have been telling us we are the leaders of tomorrow for over 2 decades. So how do we embrace change, empower, and how do we empower resilience? Now we have a conversation regarding that before I move forward to our key takeaways. We need to have a conversation here. We're the leaders of tomorrow. How do we embrace change and how do we empower resilience? Just try and make a key study, or let me say a case study, or like an example, or just anything that you can say regarding this whole presentation that we have. How can we embrace change? How can we empower resilience?
So this should be, let's say, Nigerian situation. With the mode of economy, with the way our economy is right now in Nigeria, everything is like now expensive. Like things, our no, let's not go to expensive part. The value of our naira keeps dropping and everything. And with our new president elected, that's Tinubu, what he did was implementation of tax law into the Nigeria system. So now people are paying tax, and now the tax is like, I think, strictly implemented, like little by little. People are now paying the tax and everything. And from that, other businesses in Nigeria actually are also like trying to be dedicated to that and like embracing the change for the betterment of Nigeria in future. And for those people who have been affected by Nigerian economy like really badly, like there are stories of people not being able to eat, they still keep standing, they still keep pushing. Like people too that have been affected by job, like dropout, reduction in the job market, that have been sacked because of the economy. They still keep pushing. They with no year we had the year what do you call it, riot or protest in Nigeria. People still keep pushing and hoping for the betterment of Nigeria, regardless of whatever is going. That is resilient for me. That is the resilience of Nigerians. And then for the change, we embraced whatever we've been given by the Nigerian government.
Mm, sure. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Any other person? How do we embrace
Of Nigerians, and then for the change.
okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Habib, good afternoon.
Uh, and everyone on the call. I want to make just a little contribution, which is
Okay.
for us to go forward. The only way forward in this nation, as a nation, Nigeria, is for us to
Okay.
bring back the true integrity of this nation. I mean, the soundness, the portability of this country. We need to reduce it. It has to reduce completely.
Okay.
And then all those ethics in organizations has to be followed thoroughly, promptly,
Okay.
because the corruption is just too much, and ignorance is bringing us down as a nation. So
Sure.
we just need to bring down that integrity, that true integrity. We just
Okay.
need to bring it. So that's my own little contribution. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I do have another contribution, though, and that case study, Sha. Maybe that one will be
Okay.
much better. Like
Okay.
with the rapid change, rapid developments in technology, in the technological world right now, that everything is being computerized. Like, okay, we have this, we have that. So, and Nigeria is normally a traditional kind of, we used to follow these traditional paths like classroom teachings and everything. So,
Mm,
to embrace change, like during the COVID period, for our classes, we had to start online classes, like
mm,
full online classes, and it's kept on going like for a while. And
yeah.
even up to now, we are still having online classes, and like this now, we still have online classes. And also to help embrace change the more, Unilearning,
Mm,
for instance, kind of allow the final year students to
mm,
learn some tech skill that will help them when they go to the outer world. So when they go to the markets, when they go to the work markets.
sure.
So yeah, that's embracing change.
Okay. Any contribution on how empower resilience? How can we empower resilience? Okay. Let me not confuse you. When we said embrace change and empower resilience, first of all, we talk about resilience is you bouncing back after a very, strong knockdown. When you've been knocked down, one of the resilience, one of the resilience that, is for you to bounce back, just as you made mention of, during COVID, everything have changed. First thing first, you have to adapt to that change, that environment you find yourself. Then, let me just take us back so that let me just let me just let me just go back a little bit so that I will show you something. Okay, we said that resilience is the ability to withstand and recover quickly from difficulties, challenges, or disruption, right? So, and then we now say that in our question, in our conclusion, we said, how do we embrace change and empower resilience? Because it's supposed to be an open discussion. And then we now talk about the resilience part of it. Because first thing first, you have already adopted to that same environment that you find yourself in. You're already in that environment, but something happened that you have to be resilient so that you can be able to withstand that disruption that happened to you, which is the advent of this whole COVID that overshadow everything and everyone. So now let's look at the key takeaways. We now talk about adaptability and resilience. They are not just desirable traits; they are fundamental requirements for leadership success in today's business and tech landscape. So, adaptable leaders foster innovation. They strengthen the teams and they navigate uncertainty with confidence. Meaning that as a leader, you need to foster innovation. You have to tell your people that what are you innovating? How can you innovate this? Now, for example, you guys that are in uni, Lorraine, let's say you're a computer science student, right? Right, Mariam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now, how can you foster innovation in your own department? Maybe what do you think, or what do you think that needs automation? What do you think that if you... So what do you think you're going to bring in as an innovative support for your department? That's where a leader comes in. You have to be innovative. You have to think critically. And if you have a team, you have to strengthen them, meaning that you may have a UI UX designer, you may have a back end, you may have a front end. Then you have to strengthen them. Okay, fine, come, I have an idea. Come, let's build this. Because if you just leave someone so redundant, he may not have the idea. But as a leader, you have to be scouting and looking for ideas. How can we automate this? How can we do this? How can we, solve problems in our own community? So by cultivating these competencies, a leader can transform challenges into opportunities and drive sustainable growth. Also, the future belongs to leaders who embrace change and empower their teams to be resilient. So resilient is you withstanding all the hardship, all the storm. There is a song that we said, the storm is over, right? So when storm happens, it's only a resilient person that can withstand the storm. So just assume that that storm is the change that disrupts your environment, is the change that disrupts your dealings, is the change that disrupts how you do everything in your day-to-day activities. So you have to withstand and be resilient to move forward. That's how to build the future. So now my call to action, it's based on your goals. I don't know your goals, it's based on your goals, but we need to have a call to action. So now let's discuss how to cultivate adaptability and resilience within your school. Since you're not a company, I would have said within your organization, but since you're a school, let's discuss how to cultivate adaptability and resilience within your school. I'm listening. I'm waiting for contributors. Mariam has been contributing. I need to see more hands that are going to, based on your goals or what do you want to achieve after you graduate. Let's discuss how you want to cultivate that adaptability and resilience. Maybe you want to venture into a market, and that market you don't know how it is. What are the plans you have for it? Maybe if you know how the markets work, what are the things that you want to bring that are going to disrupt that market, that you're going to make headway, that you're going to be relevant in the market. So let's discuss. Any person that wants to go? Do I have any volunteer?
Sir, should I go first? As you're waiting for
Pardon?
somebody. Should I go first as you're waiting for somebody?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, should I go first while you're waiting
Yeah,
for others?
sure. You can go.
Okay. So how to cultivate adaptability, and I feel like to be to on how to cultivate the adaptability and resilience, I feel like what you should do is to first start with the zeal that you want something to change. For me personally, right now, I'm not sure I want something to change. I'm just going on with life. But let's see, Dangote, for example.
Okay.
I think 10 years ago, he thought about what he wanted to change. He wanted the narrative of Nigerian exporting
Hmm.
oil overseas, our oil,
Yeah.
our own resources overseas, and then importing it back into Nigeria. And we are still going to pay for the importation of oil He wanted for
So
our own oil, we are still going to pay for it because so somehow you refine the oil or something like that. So he wanted the narrative to
exactly.
change. And what he did was 10 years ago, he started making his own refinery, oil refinery. And now, last year, he launched it. And the narrative have changed. Like it has really changed right now. Like now we are the one exporting oil. We are now the owner of our oil, and we are exporting one of the best oil. So I feel like that is one of the case you can see adaptability and resilience, how to
Okay, let me
cultivate it.
repeat the question. Maybe you did not understand the question well, but you actually explained how it is. But what we are saying now, the call to action is so now the call to action is based on your own goals now as a student that you are, final year student, or maybe you've graduated already. How do you think you can cultivate adaptability within your organization? Assuming that now, let's make case study with your school, with your department, right? There are a lot of things that needs attention, right? So just look around, just look at your department. What do you think that needs automation? That's number one. Number two, if you are done with, if maybe you are not going to use your school as a case study, maybe you have a business idea, maybe you have a business model, maybe you want to be selling, foreign materials, but you have to look at, okay, fine. If I'm going to sell foreign materials to these people, how can I cultivate the adaptability and resilience? For example, now, let's say Nigerians, we all believe we want to wear all these foreign jeans, foreign t-shirts, want to wear suits, and it happens to be in your own local government or in your own village, they are using all these traditional clothes, and then you want to change something. You have a goal. You have a goal that you want to change these people to be using foreign clothes. I'm just making an example. You want them to change from using that traditional clothes to foreign clothes so that if guests are coming, or if investors are coming or anything, at least they will see them that they are a little bit alike, that they have a little bit of civilization or something like that. I'm just trying to make example. So now you are going there, you have to adapt to their own environment and be resilient because you cannot just persuade them one time. You have to be resilient before you start seeing results. I love the fact that you make example with Dangote. Dangote has been in the cement and food industry, but when he saw an opportunity in the oil sector, he now adopts that inside his own, let's say, models of business that he's doing. So when he adopts oil and gas business, you have to be resilient. We know that before he got the license, how he suffered, all the setbacks that he have gone. Then he was even granting an interview with channels, I think channels television or so, that he said he nearly lose his capital because of that refinery, because almost more than half of his money has been sunk in that refinery. So like you have to be resilient, you have to withstand all the storm, you have to withstand all the challenges. So Dangote withstand all those challenges. He adapt to the environment, first of all, and see how they are doing things, which is the oils and sector industry. And then he now see that, okay, there are things that need to be changed. So he now, you know, adopt into it, and then he's now been resilient after being into it on how to be afloat, on how to make impact, on how to be relevant. That's the resilience. You have to withstand it. So that was why I said, based on your own goals now, you as a person, let's discuss how you want to cultivate adaptability and resilience based on this example that I give to you. I just want to see whether you guys are getting what I'm saying so that you can be able to apply, because the essence of having all these webinars is for you to be resourceful and to be, to have the technical know-how and the soft skills and the mindset and everything that you need to, project this country we call Nigeria. Because I'm not expecting to see one of you getting to their local government or state government saying that, you want them to give you a white collar job. No, I want you guys to be entrepreneurs. That's the essence of all these skills and knowledge. For you to see everything as an opportunity. For you to see every single thing as an opportunity. I saw one interview. One guy was talking about, you see ant that you are seeing. He used to farm ants. And when he export ants to foreign countries, he used to get money out of it. So imagine ants. The ants that you used to kill in your house, you used to put powder that you should kill them. Someone has taken that as an opportunity and he's making money. So Rahim, please go ahead. Rahim, you have the floor. Is it Rahim, Rukaya, or okay, Rukaya, Rahim, please go ahead. Hello, Rahim Rukayat. Do you have something to say? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, okay. You've heard what I said, right? So I saw
Yes, sir.
somebody's hand up, and the person is not talking. Okay. So in a nutshell, that's what the call to action is for you to identify an
Excuse me,
opportunity
sir.
uh, within your. Okay, Khadija, please go ahead.
Okay, so one issue that I've noticed, though this is in the fashion industry, one issue
Okay.
that I've noticed is that zippers for clothes, when they wear out
Okay.
or they get broken in any way, they have to be replaced. They can't be repaired. The zip itself can't be repaired. It has to be replaced. So that is
Okay.
one problem. And like what people do is
Okay.
when something happens to their clothes, they'll be managing the zip till it eventually stops. During that one,
Yeah.
I'll just say like maybe they are weathering the storm. They are being resilient. The zip is
Sure.
also being resilient. I don't know if I'm making sense. Then
Exactly.
a solution that I thought that maybe in later years I can develop towards this problem of wasting zippers once they get broken instead of mending them is to develop a type of
Hmm.
technology that can actually amend broken zips instead of replacing the zip.
Okay.
So that shows adaptability because it's going to like change the narrative from what we have now by
Exactly.
then.
Sure. Thank you very much, Khadija, for that. And another thing that I just want to share with you guys, I know that most of us, when our shoe spoil, when we take it to the shoe shiner to fix it for us, after fixing it, tear again or it's wear again, we just decided to, throw it out. So, you can decide
Good
to,
evening, sir.
get those shoes. Okay, Rukaya, you want to say something?
Sorry for cutting you off. I
Okay.
actually raised up my hand to talk, but maybe my phone was hanging. I couldn't unmute. That was the reason why I couldn't talk when you are calling me.
Okay. You want to go ahead?
Yes, about the question you
Okay, please
asked,
go ahead.
yeah, that how can we embrace change and resilience? I think the
Pardon?
first thing, yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to do is to navigate through the change. What actually brings in the change? We have to know what brings about the change. When we know what brings about the change, I think through that we'll be able to find solutions to it, and that will help us to. Uh, it will enable it to give us resilience, to give us the chance to embrace change. I think for in the situation in our country that the government has increased the rate of tax and is a lot on the companies. And I think that's the reason what
Sure.
brings about um, how all goods have been skyrocketed in prices. And what can the company do? I think the company can as well try to put the task given to them, put it on VAT
Hmm.
so that it won't be too much on them to pay, so that them also will be able to realize their proceed in production. And as a student, I say the course that each and
Hmm.
every one of us are doing is an entity in us. Maybe peradventure when we
Sure.
graduated and we are seeking out for a job, and we see that in that course that we read, we are unable to secure a job on it. I think if we look
Hmm.
at deep in the course, there are other things that we can do, that we can make out of the course, and we will actually do well
Hmm.
and nice, even without we practicing what we actually study in the university. I
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Hmm. No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. To couple with it, so as an entrepreneur, or let me say, we are supposed to, be scouting for opportunities. Whenever you see an opportunity, always try to see how you can, proffer solution to that opportunity, because there are a lot of opportunities out there that nobody is coming to solve it for you, but you as an entrepreneur, or you as a citizen of that environment, you can see that, okay, this thing needs a solution. Okay, if I provide solution to this, am I going to get money out of it? There are some things that you need to start like a charity organization, doing it free of charge, before people will now see the need for it to be included into their daily activities, or maybe let's say they can be able to monetize it, or see it as something of value. So these things that we discussed today, I believe it is going to be one of the best things that is going to support you guys in your journey into the tech industry and into the entrepreneurship world. So any question for me regarding the presentation before we call it a day? I know that there are a lot of questions. Even though it was an interactive session that we were moving together. But I know, let me just give you benefit of doubts if you have any question.
So I have a question.
Okay, Mariam, please go
Before
ahead.
So
you
I want
start,
to ask
before you ask your
that.
question, Miriam, please, before you ask your question, thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim. Thank you for the wonderful
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for taking us through the the in and out of adaptability and resilience in leadership. And it was quite insightful and very awesome. Thank you so much. Can every one of us give Mr. Ibrahim a round of applause using our caption? Can we use our caption to give him a round? Thank you so much for it. So we are going to be having nothing less than just 3 or 4 people that can ask questions. So if you want to ask question, you can unmute yourself and you have the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pedro.
All right, sir. So my question is, how do you differentiate between resilience and just giving up? Like, that there are sometimes that the best option is to give up, and then you think it's better to keep pushing, and indirectly you are deceiving yourself. You should have just
Your
given
mic is
up.
breaking. Mariam, your
Oh,
mic is
sorry.
breaking.
All right, sir. Is it okay now?
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you differentiate the difference between resilience and giving up? There's this thin line between it. Like, okay, you think you should just keep pushing, you should stand up after defeats and everything. You should keep pushing.
Mm.
So, and there are sometimes that the best option for you right now is to give up or look at another field entirely, not this whatever you are trying to um not what you're trying to innovate or bring out to the world. So how do you like tell yourself that, okay, enough is enough, it's time for me to give up? Or will you just keep pushing until life hits you so hard that you give up?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. Let me just read it for clarity. You said, how can you differentiate between resilience and giving up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's awesome. So in a nutshell, I'll just say, resilient and giving up, they are almost same thing, but it has some difference. In resilience, we said, whenever you've been broken down, whenever you try to withstand the storm, you're going to bounce back and adopt that changes that knocks you down. For example, now let's say someone that is having malaria, right? And he was suffering with that malaria so much that it knocks him down, and he was even trying to say, "Hi, this sickness. I've taken drugs. I've done this. I've done that, but still there is no changes. I may have given up. I think I'm going to die." And then they give him medicine. I take this medicine now. I know, no, I've been taking these drugs for the past 7 days, but still there is no any changes, tell me I've given up already. I'm going to die. I'm not going to take any drugs again. That is giving up. And resilient is when you were knocked down by that malaria, right? You have been taking drugs. And if wherever someone say, Ibrahim, see, this drugs is good. Oh, I saw someone just refer to me that this drug is very good. It can help you with that malaria. Then you give it a try. You take the drugs. You did not give up. You keep on finding ways on how to be relevant, on how to be alive. I'm just trying to make example with health sector. Now let's look at the IT sector. It's just like someone is saying, okay, what business model do you use? For example, let's say someone that is selling, let's say, roasted corn. So in that location that person is selling the roasted corn, it doesn't make markets, right? Why? Because the people in that area doesn't like roasted corn. They prefer boiled one, the one that's actually cooked one. Sorry. So you now find it like, okay, fine. I'm not making markets. I have given up. I'm not going to do this. In the sense that you know that if you try to, cook your own or boil it or anything that you call it, people are going to buy it. But then you decide to say you don't have the resources, so you don't have the tools to do it. You only have tools to roast the corn. So you see, now you are giving up. Instead of you to try another thing so that you can sell your market, you are not giving up. So these are the two different things between giving up and resilience. Resilience is when you are knocked down and you don't know where to go, and you be trying to find a way on how to be relevant in that market, and then you find where boom, and then you were able to adopt, and by being resilient, you were able to scale through. While this one is giving up, there is nothing you can do. You're already given up. It doesn't have any future. It doesn't need anything. You have already given up. So that's just the layman example I'm going to give you. Hope I answered your question, the difference of them.
Not really, sir. So let
Okay.
me give you in the scenario kind of manner. Let's say
Okay.
you have cancer,
Okay.
and it's like, let's say, stage 4 cancer, and you know all this
Okay.
kind of story of, oh, never give up, keep fighting, all this kind of stuff. Miracles can happen,
Sure.
and you keep stressing people, and you keep trying new drug, and then you know that you are going to die very soon. Let's say like 3 months. Like every story you've heard is like, okay, you're not going to last long, and then you keep saying, I'm trying to be resilient, I'm trying to be resilient, I'm trying to stay strong. Like, you can just relax, like just I don't want to say give up, but just relax, like just take a chill pill, and just let life take you to wherever. Stop stressing. I think at that point, then you should just give up, and maybe enjoy life till you die. But then some people will still say
Okay,
keep
that's
pushing,
that's
keep pushing.
that's
At that kind of
in
point, they're
aspect of
supposed to like
health.
give up. You are supposed to stop because there's nothing right now. You're not seeing anything, but then you keep pushing. So I'm not asking that. Are there not times for you to like, okay, oh, instead of you being resilient all the time, just
Control.
like relax, and everything should just go on like that.
Okay.
So I'm just asking that, are there not times for you to like you will pick the option of giving up, like give up or something like that? Like something like that when you find yourself in that situation. Are there not times for that? Instead of you to keep being resilient and
Yeah.
everything.
Okay. Now that is in the aspect of health, right?
Yes, sir.
What about the business part of it? Can you give us an example?
Okay, let's say in that business part of it, you are making you make um what they call it, corn, roasted corn. So your target audience, the place, the community you are selling your roasted corn does not like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said
Mm-hmm.
the person can still keep trying, maybe getting new recipe. Now, my question is now that, okay, what if you have, let's say, the adult group does not like roasted corn. You used to see very, very low sale. And then for younger group, a lot of them have are allergic to corn. You get, and you are still
Yeah.
seeing that low sale. Are you going to tell me that we should keep trying different corn recipes, and then what you want is corn? You want to like introduce corn into that community. Like that is what you are
Mm,
trying to do. Are you telling me that you keep
mm.
pushing, keep wasting money, buying corn, paying for rent and everything? And that can you not
No,
just
that's a very terrible business model.
eh?
That would be a very terrible business model.
Okay, okay. But I'm just saying
Okay, so
resilience
thank you very
and
much for that. Okay, okay, let me just clear the air for you now. The example I was trying to make is this. It is very simple, right? We're talking about difference between giving up and resilience, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. So what I just explained to you was an example. So what I'm trying to make you understand is now in a business sense, the people of your environment, they love corn and they like eating corn. It's not the one that they want. And you want to introduce to them a different recipe, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And how can you introduce to them? Is it not by doing it and by, sometimes in business, let me just tell you something. That is what we did recently. There is one company like that, a restaurant company that their focus is how can they make people in Jalingo to be consuming food that is meant for people in, let's say, Nasarawa. We all know that the Nasarawa State have this thing that they call, that thing that they used to wrap it in, can someone tell me the name of that food? It's just like it's being used with corn also. I'm trying to find the name. Madidi. Thank you, Madidi. So now, how do you make them to understand that this Madidi is good for them? It's by doing promo, right?
Yes,
You
sir.
have to
Yes,
do
sir. Rising
you
promo.
have to do you have to do sales promo. That's number one. Sales promo in the sense that you can do Madidi for like 50 people and then you make a flyer or maybe let's say make publicity that tomorrow I'm going to do a recipe that none of you have ever tested that recipe before. And people will be like, what kind of recipe is that? They want to test it because people are curious to learn about something new. So let's say when you do that recipe, then they decided they now adopt to that recipe. They are eating that recipe. But along the line, they now find that that recipe is not what they want. They don't like the recipe. Maybe what you normally add to that recipe is not what they want. And now you're not selling your market because that's not what they want. So instead of you to say, since these people are not buying this market, let me just give up and then bring another thing. You have to be resilient. Resilience in the sense that you have to introduce another thing. Okay, now but you still want to use that same Madidi, but you want to bring another different approach to it. So you can decide to say, okay, fine. Before we normally do Madidi and fish. Now they don't want fish. Okay, now let's do Madidi and another thing. Maybe let's say Madidi and chicken or Madidi and any other thing that is going to catch their attention. Or yeah, come and test this. So when they come and test it, they now like it. Some people are patronizing you on the previous recipe that you have. Some are patronizing you on the current one that you introduced to them. That is being resilient. You don't just give up in your market. You have to bring other things on how to make it to be moving. But giving up is just you saying that since I've introduced this one to them, they don't like it, and let me just give up and then let me bring another thing. No, you have to be resilient. Change another way of doing it so that you'll be relevant in that same business. So that's just the difference between resilient and giving up. In resilient, you don't just give up easily. You keep on bringing things that are going to be relevant. Keep on bringing things that are going to make you, keep on moving in that business, not just give up in that business. So that's the difference between resilient and giving up.
Okay, sir. But what about the medical part?
No, medical part, I cannot give you example of medical part because health issue doesn't have miracle. Miracle happens, I know, but in the aspect of health, I cannot just give example because I'm not a health practitioner and anything that has to do with health, we don't have control over it. Doctor will just prescribe drugs for you, but at the end of the day, you may take the drugs and you may still die. So health has a very tricky sector in that area. Even you can see doctors now, they will tell you that come and do scanning. You do scanning, you do that. At the end of the day, they will tell you there's nothing we can do. They are giving up. So in aspect of health, there is giving up. Giving up is allowed. But in aspect of business, Giving up is not allowed in my own dictionary. Do not give up in
Sir,
business.
but
Keep on
when you do not give
modifying.
up in business, won't it be waste of money? Because when you even say that we keep telling people to come and try new recipe, like when you make new, let's say majiji and fish, majiji and egg, majiji and meat, and during all this time, people are trying. Don't you know that you are losing capital in that way? Like you're not really
In
getting
markets,
profit.
okay. Okay, in market, there's what we call sunk cost fallacy. Have you heard of that?
No, sir.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. Let me just see if I can be able to explain that to you. The sunk cost fallacy is a cognitive bias where people continue investing in something despite realizing it's a losing venture solely because of the resources already invested, maybe because of the time, the money, and the effort. In business, we all know that you will lose, and know any business that you are starting today that will make profit today. So that's sunk cost fallacy for you. And as an entrepreneur, it's a must, capital must, you must look in business before you get profits. So that is normal in business. You have, because if you say you're going to give up, just look at the time you waste, the money, the effort. So you cannot just give up in business.
Okay, sir. But that
Till
means they
till
just
death
keep
do us
losing a
part.
lot of stuff.
Yes, till death do
Well,
us part. Okay, let me just give you one example now. Let me give you an example with myself because I love giving example. I was a student with Bayero University, Kano. That was around 2011 to 20, because then I did my diploma actually, from 2011 to 2013. Then I now go back and wrote my BE, and I started there from 2013 to 2015. Okay, so what I did was every single day, I used to spend, then I used to spend 115 naira on transport. And the distance from where I'm staying to where I'm going to learn, it's almost 3 kilometers drive. So imagine the amount of money I spent when I was in my year one. I used to go there every Friday and Saturday. Every Friday and Saturday. Fridays after mocks, I'll go there. I'll stay there till evening, till maybe around 7, 8 before I'll come back. Every day like that. So one fateful day, I now tell myself, I'm investing my time, my money, and my effort, and I'm not getting anything. And I'm learning this coding, I'm learning this programming. I am still not making money. I keep on going there, I keep on doing it. Why? Because I want to achieve something at the end of it. So what happened was 2014, when Google came to Nigeria, to our campus, and they are in need of campus ambassadors. My friend told me that we should go there. I said, no, I don't have the knowledge. But you have been going to computer school now. You've been doing this, doing that. Why can't you go? I said, no, I don't have the knowledge. Because then, in myself, I believe that I don't have the necessary knowledge, even though I have, but I feel like it's not enough for me to lead a campus ambassador. So that was where my story began. I now remember all the investment I did, all the data I used to put. Then it was a Symbian phone that I'm using. For you to configure to configure how to use Google Chrome, or use how to configure Opera Mini or Firefox, it will take you days. So that was how I invested my effort, my time, and my money. Today, as I'm talking to you, I own a company that is partnering with the federal government, that is, working with Data Science Nigeria, that's working with Google, Google that you know that you're browsing with. So it is your determination. It is your investment. You have to nurture it. In my own dictionary, there is nothing like giving up. That's why I tell you that if it is an aspect of medical, even doctors can tell you that they cannot do anything. You have to give up. But in terms of entrepreneurship world, there is no giving up. If this thing doesn't work, introduce it. That's why we said we are supporting startups. When you have an idea, you build your startup, and then that startup is not making sense, keep it aside, build another one. If that is not making sense, keep it aside, build another one. There will be a day that startup that you were building, a company might be interested to invest in that your startup. So that's why I said giving up is not in my dictionary. And now I'm a living testimony. The money I invested and everything I invested, it is yielding positive results now. So please let not just allow because we are losing money and then we'll just decide to give up. No. So any other question?
All right. Thank you,
Sorry, we
sir.
won't be able to accommodate any other question because of our time.
Yes, I
So
can see
thank
that.
you so much, Mr. Ibrahim Rabiu. You have really, really touched our spirit and soul with this your
Thank you
teaching,
very much.
and we hope to, be a good ambassador and representative of what you have brought to us today.
Thank
And
you very
I
much.
hope the students have learned a lot and they will be a great ambassador of what you have brought to them today. Thank you very much. Can we give him a round of applause using our caption? Thank you so much. And this is where we are going to be calling it a day today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the class. Thank you so much. Till another time, I believe we will beckon on you any other time. I believe you will
Sure, I'm
be.
available.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm available to help almost every time you reach out to me. I'll
Oh,
try and make time for this because I was a student. I know what it takes for you to get a mentorship session and what it takes for you to have, you know, audience like this that are listening to you. It means that you are impacting more on them. And tomorrow, they will remember that so person was there for me when I need him. So it's an investment and it's a legacy that we're leaving behind.
thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you very much.
much. Yes,
Thank
have
you
a
very much.
wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Okay, so
Thank you very much.
everyone, okay, have a wonderful weekend too. See you next weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Ah, wani wa munawa.
منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. No, see, listen to me. I'm trying to make it easier so that you're able to say it clearly.